A child has died after what investigators say was a hit and run. What we know about the deadly crash just ahead.
A sinkhole made an unusual obstacle at a Boyle County golf course. It opened up in the middle of a golf tournament. We'll have that coming up.
And a man was sent to the hospital with grave injuries after crashing into a Nicholasville business. We'll have all the details on that crash ahead on WKYT this morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. I'm Sean Moody in for Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. Let's see what's happening. The weather department is a first alert severe weather day with Micah.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing these storms move on in here later on today. We do have a couple of showers out there at this moment, and it's really for the northern zones. And there's not much to this. Really, this is just falling apart. Cynthiana, you got a little bit of rain out of this. Carlisle as well. Parrish, you're next in line. Mount Sterling, if it sticks together, Mount Sterling, Owingsville, you're going to be next in line, even though Owingsville, you're already seeing the front edge of this. But kind of the bulk of it, if you will, still a light shower, but the bulk of it is back toward Harrison County. So the skycast for today, strong storms will move in later on. I'm going to break down the forecast. I'm going to show you exactly when I expect these to move in coming up.
Micah, thank you. Investigators say a child has died after a hit-and-run crash in Pulaski County.
This happened last night on Rocklet Creek Road near Science Hill. The Pulaski County coroner tells us a 10-year-old child was hit by a car and died at the hospital. At last check, investigators are still searching for the driver of the car. This morning, no other details have been released. New this morning, police are investigating after a car crashed into a Nicholasville building. This happened late last night at Faulkner Fane Company on Highway 39 near Booker Street. Police say the driver came around a curve, hit a utility pole, and then hit the business. They say the driver had to be cut out of that SUV. He was the only one inside, and he was still alive, and they took him to St. Joe Hospital in Nicholasville. But police say the man does have serious injuries, and investigators are looking into what may have caused this crash. They say speed and alcohol may be factors. Well, it's an unusual golf course hazard and one that was not planned, a sinkhole, and it's created the big old mess in Boyle County.
Yeah, not what golfers expected to see out there. In just a matter of minutes, that sinkhole nearly drained a pond at the Old Bridge Golf Course, and it happened right in the middle of a tournament yesterday. Monique Blair talked to managers out there at the golf course.
It's about 3.5 foot wide and about 20 foot deep.
It was a beautiful day on the course Saturday, but golfers and employees at the Old Bridge Golf Course were in for quite a surprise when they reached the first hole.
My brother called me and said, "You should come look at this." The pond has literally sunk, and there's no water left in it.
Course Superintendent Cody Pollard says it all happened so fast.
So I came out here and looked at it, and there was a geyser throwing up water about 15 foot up in the air.
And within minutes, Pollard says this sinkhole opened and swallowed most of the water in the pond.
Now, the sinkhole may not be that big around, but you can see it had quite the impact. Right now, I'm standing on hole number 1, commonly referred to as the floating green, but you can see it's definitely not floating anymore.
Pollard says since Saturday, the sinkhole has continued to swallow the water from the pond, just much slower than it did at first. The good news, though, the sinkhole is not affecting the actual course, so golfers can continue to play, now just with a sight they're not quite used to seeing.
Everyone thinks that it's the highlight of the golf course, and now it's gone within a matter of minutes.
In Boyle County, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Pretty wild. Employees there at the golf course say they're still trying to figure out if they'll put water back into that pond or just fill it back in with dirt. Investigators have released the name of a man found dead along the Kentucky River. State police say 18-year-old Kean Wickers of Frankfort was found dead in a kayak yesterday morning. He was found near a private boat ramp used by Frankfort's water treatment facility. State police say his death is being investigated as a drowning.
Well, Lexington police are looking for 2 men who robbed a restaurant at dinner time. This happened just before 6 yesterday evening at the Jimmy John's on Waller Avenue near St. Joseph Hospital. Police say one of the men had a gun. Garrett Weimer is tracking the investigation.
It may have been dinner time, but the 2 men didn't come to Jimmy John's for a sandwich. One, police say, pointed a gun at the person working the register and demanded money. When they got it, they ran away.
That's crazy.
I would never expect something like that to happen during the day over here.
Waller Center is a pretty busy plaza. A couple UK students there shortly after say they were shocked the place was robbed when it was.
I've seen some questionable people walking up and down the street here, but I never thought anything like that would ever happen as close to my home as it has. So.
Police say 3 employees and a manager were inside the restaurant at the time. Nobody was hurt.
This is generally a campus type area, off-campus housing for students and whatnot. So we have those type of calls a lot, but you never know. Anytime there's a business, there's always a chance that somebody's there to steal something and possibly rob you.
The store does have surveillance video, but the owner tells us police ask him not to show it to us until detectives can take a look at it first over the next couple of days. Folks I talked to say it's alarming to see crime creep closer to campus and to their homes.
And it's just like you just don't go out alone anymore at all. That's not a thing you can do.
In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Well, the store's owner tells us it was a scary situation for workers inside the store at the time. He says their manager went through something like that before at another store, so knew what to do. The robbery is still under investigation right now.
Investigators have released more details about a double murder in Franklin County. The victims have now been identified as 89-year-old Carolyn Barker and her caregiver, 32-year-old Jennifer Downey. Police say the women were found dead in a home on Pea Ridge Road Friday night. Now, a few hours later, police say they found 69-year-old Raymond Barker dead behind some businesses along Washington Street in Frankfort. Investigators have ruled his death a suicide. At this point, police are not ready to say if his suicide is connected to the double murder.
We're going through every single piece of evidence that we can gather, collect. We're doing a ton of interviews.
Police say they are not looking for any kind of suspect in the case. They hope to release more information later this week. Police have also identified the 2 men killed in a double shooting during a home invasion in Pike County. They say 41-year-old John Rowe and 38-year-old Tommy Ellswick were shot early yesterday morning in the Island Creek community. The homeowner, who didn't want his face shown on camera, says he caught the 2 men breaking into his garage.
I came around the garbage box and this guy saw me, so he took off to the left side of the vehicle and stopped at the left side to get something out. And I went around the right side to keep the vehicle between me and him. And he came around through there with a gun, so I shot him. And the other guy came out of the garage with something, and I shot him. One collapsed at the front and one collapsed at the rear of the vehicle.
Kentucky State Police say they're investigating the double shooting. So far, they've not filed any charges. The U.S. Senate has voted on competing Republican and Democratic proposals designed to keep guns out of the hands of terrorists.
Didn't take long for all 4 proposals to be defeated. The votes were largely divided along party lines. Mark Albert has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Proposals to keep guns out of the hands of terrorists failed in the gridlocked Senate.
The motion is not agreed to.
Republicans defeated Democratic plans to expand background checks on firearms bought online and at gun shows, and a proposal that would have stopped people on the no-fly list and terrorist watch list from buying guns.
What am I going to tell the community of Orlando that is trying to come together in the healing?
The Democrats stopped Republican proposals that would have required a court order showing probable cause to block the sale of a gun, and a plan that would allow the mentally ill to challenge their diagnosis in order to buy guns.
The other side says they support Second Amendment rights. We have every reason not to believe them.
The National Rifle Association led the lobbying efforts against the gun regulations, saying the focus is misplaced.
Laws didn't stop them in Boston. Laws didn't stop them in San Bernardino, where you had every type of gun control law you could have. And they didn't stop them in Paris, where people can't even own guns.
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, who had a nearly 15-hour filibuster on the issue last week, says the NRA has taught him a lesson.
Ultimately, the only way that you win this issue is by building a political infrastructure around the country that rivals that of the gun lobby.
The NRA says it represents more than 4.5 million members. Mark Albert for CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine has a compromise proposal that would ban people on the no-fly list from buying guns, but not those on the terrorist watch list as a whole. That proposal has not yet been scheduled for a vote. Well, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin is expected to make an announcement today on criminal justice reforms. Governor Bevin and Justice and Public Safety Cabinet Secretary John Tilley will make the announcement at noon today at the State Capitol building.
All right, 4:40 now on your Tuesday morning, and WKYT This Morning is just getting started.
Thanks for starting your morning off with this life jacket. It's a staple of summer safety, but it's crucial that your child wears the right size. Moms Every Day will show us how to check that when we come back.
And a look ahead, we're going to be talking about strong, potentially severe thunderstorms. I'm going to get into that coming up next. We're looking at a couple of showers early this morning, especially right there to the north and heading down toward the I-64 corridor. Owingsville getting in line along with Carlisle and also Paris. North Middletown heads up. You're going to be seeing that very shortly if you're not already. And that's sliding down toward Mount Sterling. If it sticks together, which I do believe for you guys it will, you'll at least see a light shower out of this as it passes on through Flemingsburg. Also getting in on the mix. Current temperatures, we are in the 70s, not just the 70s, but mid-70s for many locations. 75 now in Lexington. It is not a good feel outside as you step out the door. It's 80 degrees right now back toward Louisville. So we get into your afternoon. It's not about the temperatures today. We'll be in the mid-80s, and also looking at those thunderstorms. Now, the thunderstorm threat is not completely widespread. Not everybody will see these storms. However, if you do, you're going to get under some very heavy rain. Lightning, that's number 2, and then also some strong winds. So you have 3 things to really worry about as we track off into the afternoon. But some of this heavy rain is much appreciated. We are welcoming it with open arms, as a lot of our yards are very, very dry. The only problem is what goes with that heavy rain, strong, potentially severe storms. We're going to have that today. We're going to have it tomorrow. We will go off into your Thursday with that severe weather threat too. So you have 3 consecutive days of actually seeing strong, potentially severe storms. There will be rounds of storms. It's not going to be an all-day thing. You will get big breaks in the action. And as we head off towards your Friday and Saturday, it looks much better. But the next 3 days are going to be very active days there for your 3-day threat tracker. I would say if you're looking for a better chance, when is the best opportunity to see rain out of these 3 days? All of them are actually pretty much the same. They just come in rounds of storms, and there'll be very, very heavy downpours, strong winds with that. Friday and Saturday actually look pretty good. They're going to be very warm once you get the rain on out of here. You actually allow those temperatures to heat up very rapidly. So we'll be at 87 there on Friday, 90 degrees there on Saturday, and then we'll add in a couple more rumbles there on Sunday off into Monday. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, guys, this is what we're going to be looking at. We'll be with a first alert severe weather day for the next 3 days consecutively. And sometimes this happens. Sometimes this happens when you get in that pattern where it's just one storm after another, and we're kind of in that pattern right now. The actual worst part of the action stays to the north of us, heads up toward Michigan and deeper or higher into the Ohio River Valley. So for us, we're going to get storms, but the worst of it actually misses us to the north. There's some good news. Yeah, there's some good news for us.
Thanks, Micah. Well, of course, with summer in full swing, one of the best ways to deal with the hot temperatures, when it's nice anyway, not storming, is swimming.
Yeah.
But for your child to be safe, it's important to pick the right life jacket.
Definitely. We spoke with a professional for his advice in today's Mom's Everyday Minute.
I'm Pam Tauser. Here's today's Mom's Minute.
So we're just going to talk a little bit today about putting on a life jacket and perhaps most importantly, choosing the right one for your child. So there are a couple things you want to look for. First, you want to check to make sure that you're choosing an appropriate size. This life jacket is for a child between 30 and 50 pounds. This is Finn, and I know that Finn is within that range, so that's a good starting point. Another thing you want to look for is to make sure that it's a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket. That's going to be a good sign that this is a quality piece of material. So if we're going to go ahead and put this on Finn, you can go ahead and slide his arms through and then start the buckles. Place all the buckles first and then go ahead and tighten them down after. Make sure you get between the legs buckle, but you can use a little bit of discretion here and leave a little bit of space. This is just to prevent the life jacket from coming up off the child's body. So you can see that's pretty snug. We can just tighten it down a little bit, and he should be good to go. What you'll see oftentimes is they'll choose a life jacket that's too big, and in that case, the life jacket will end up being worn more like earmuffs than a jacket. And you want to make sure that it's nice and snug around the chest and that it stays in place when they're in the water. Just be careful about using air wings or other inflatables. Those things are more meant to be used as toys than they are actual life-preserving devices. So use a life jacket.
For more ways to make mom's life easier, check out momseveryday.com.
these tips and other enlightening tips, go to WKYT.com. Click on Moms Every Day.
All right, coming up on 4:48 now on your Tuesday morning when WKYT This Morning returns.
Firefighters in California are bracing as rising temperatures make their battle against multiple wildfires even more difficult. We'll have more on the fight just after the break.
Welcome back to WKYT This Morning. Firefighters are still battling large wildfires in Southern California. Temperatures well over 100 degrees are not helping. 2
fires in the San Gabriel Mountains have already burned 3,500 acres. Only a canyon is keeping the 2 from merging. Some people living nearby sprayed water on their roofs of their homes before packing up their cars to leave.
I got my kids, my grandma, everybody in the cars, and everybody got down there, and I ran back up and tried to turn the perimeter sprinklers on.
At least 16 wildfires are burning across the western U.S. Red flag warnings and excessive heat warnings as well expected to stay in effect for much of the Southwest through today. A man accused of kidnapping a mentally challenged child in Knox County has asked a judge to lower his bond, but the judge denied Donald Rice's request and kept a $50,000 bond in place. Rice also pleaded not guilty to kidnapping during the hearing. Last week, police say Rice kidnapped an 11-year-old from her home and drove her to a nearby field. They say neighbors and the child's family members followed and got that child back. Her family thinks the bond should be higher.
I don't want him up there around my great niece, and I'm sure there's other people don't want him around their children either.
Rice's court record shows he's faced arson, assault, and burglary charges in years past. If he bonds out of jail, the judge says he cannot have any contact with the victim or her family.
Some families have been forced from their homes because of a large fire at a Louisville apartment building. That fire started late yesterday afternoon. See all that smoke coming from it there. That's near Eastern Parkway. Firefighters say no one was injured in that fire, but you can see it did a lot of damage. They say it damaged 8 apartments, and 4 of them are likely a total loss. Now, at this point, firefighters aren't sure exactly what caused the fire, but they say it does not appear to be suspicious. The American Red Cross is helping people who were forced out of their homes. The Frankfort City Commission has given the green light to a big change on part of West Main Street. By a vote of 3-2, the commission approved a proposal to make Main Street a 2-way road through downtown Frankfort. Right now, a stretch of West Main near Wilkinson Street is 1-way. Supporters say making Main Street 2-way will help business. Others, though, were worried about fewer parking spots.
A week-long event that helps children throughout central Kentucky has begun in Lexington. Children's Charities of the Bluegrass kicked off its 36th annual Children's Charity Classic with a tee-off reception at Andover Golf and Country Club. Yesterday afternoon, the organization gave checks totaling more than $370,000 to 38 charities.
We want to be able to give back to these charities because they do so much for these kids, whether it's feeding them, mentoring them, giving them health care.
The week concludes with the Children's Charity Classic golf tournament. You'll be able to watch it right here on WKYT starting at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Always a good time.
Yeah, and hopefully the weather gets a little bit better before then, too, as well. It's 4:53 now on your Tuesday morning. Coming up, we will take a look at what we're working on this morning.
Also have another look at your morning forecast. Stick around.
Welcome back. It is 4:57 on your Tuesday morning.
Let's take a look right now at some of the stories we're working on for you this morning.
Police are investigating after a serious crash in Nicholasville. They say the driver of an SUV was taken to the hospital with grave injuries after hitting a local business. We'll have more on their investigation in the next half hour.
And today is our first alert severe weather day. Let's get the latest check with Micah.
Yeah, we have a couple of showers early this morning, especially for eastern Kentucky, and that's sliding south and southeast, really falling apart as we speak. So here in the next hour, that will be long gone. Now we'll start to see some more develop later on this afternoon, and that's going to give us the opportunity to see strong, potentially severe thunderstorms with temperatures in the 80s. It's not about the temperatures today, it's about that severe weather chance, and it's not an outbreak type of situation. However, a couple of these isolated severe cells could cause some problems. We'll go over that. I'll show you that in your latest forecast with another 2 hours of WKYT News.